everyone. Welcome to Living Out Loud. I'm your host, Jen Cusumano, and thank you so much for choosing to be with me here today. Today is Wednesday, May 6th, and for my first official episode, titled Tug of War, I wanted to share some voice notes that I made while at work the other day. I just had something on my heart that I really wanted to share and bring across that I felt would be a nice kind of like, touchstone or touch point, as I begin to kind of, express who I am to the listeners. I do intend to do a longer background video, probably, for one of my next ones, my next episode. And I have quite a number of episodes, ideas lined up, and I already have at least a second episode and potentially a different segment already recorded. So it's just a matter of me learning this equipment and learning the process, but some of it's frustrating and some of it's pretty easy and fun. So I hope that you enjoy. This is honestly just me riffing a bit and or not even necessarily riffing so much, but me speaking from what was on my heart while I was at work at my day job, and wanting to really bring some things across and expressing, how I've been feeling with this inner calling to share my voice with the world and to put myself out there. And I've already begun doing so on Substack. I started a Substack August 2025. And I've begun doing some YouTube videos here and there when I feel the strong enough urge. And something I've been really kind of wanting to do for over a year now is start my own podcast. And so here it is, or at least the beginnings of that. I hope you'll bear with me as I get acquainted with this process. But I'm so excited to share where I'm at on my journey and get to know each other better. And I hope that you will enjoy. So without further ado. So there's just this internal tug of war within me. I'm stalling a little bit right this moment because I've been kind of just stream of consciousness thinking all morning alone with my thoughts, and now I'm wanting to record some of them because I'm like, I really want to write that down, or I really want to take note of that so I can speak to that later or write about it, or whichever, or both. And it's funny because my brain sometimes stalls or gets a little tripped up when I switch from one mode to the next. So you'll have to forgive me, but and I also just wish I had my phone with me when I was thinking it, because it was really clear in my mind before. So basically, in my mind, I was just thinking of how there's just this internal tug of war inside of me between breaking out of the old and shedding what I no longer am and releasing myself from a self-imposed protective bubble and hermit cave, or this self-imposed prison in some regards. Or maybe these are all over dramatized. You could just say I've kept myself in a castle with high walls for protection. I've just kept myself in protection of my own making over the years, and it was survival mode. It was a protection mechanism in order to avoid pain and overwhelm, because I am highly sensitive. I do have rejection sensitivity, and I do feel things really strongly. I'm neurodivergent. I have complex trauma, and honestly, I just read something recently, just the other day, and I think my friend sent me an Instagram reel, and it was discussing how the brain treats complex trauma, or how it affects the body and everything else or whatever. And complex trauma is basically a form of neurodivergence in itself. Like you will function differently and relate to people differently, and um, it affects you in such a vast way, like, and it covers so many areas in your life, like executive function, emotional regulation, nervous system regulation, social navigation of that, socializing acts. Yeah. And so anyway, I almost wonder whether, I don't know. I know there's a biological component. There's like you can like there's a hereditary component to this neurodivergence in my family. On both sides there's autism and ADHD, but I'm wondering whether a lot of this is just passed on trauma. But I don't know. I think there's more to it than that. I don't think these things are just one thing only, but I do think trauma might affect someone at their DNA level potentially, and then they pass that on to their children, and then it's just like this adaptive gene or whatever, and it's how they function then, like an evolutionary trait to keep the lineage alive or whatever. But it also could just be like a wound, or it could just be due to having experienced deep trauma, it affected the nervous system so strongly that it affected down to the DNA level, and then somehow these nervous system and energetic imprints affected the energy, the aura and the pain body and the neurological system of this person so much that it literally somehow gets passed on in the DNA, and it's energetic in nature. And they say energy and motion, that's what emotion is. So there's something to it. For all we know, there's a lot of like trauma that people have not, healed within themselves. And then there could be developmental trauma during when someone's pregnant, and could be just certain genetic predisposition that leads to someone developing autism. And I don't like to look at it like it's a disability, but it can be disabling for some. It can feel really difficult to navigate, and then it's a spectrum. So it's autism is a spectrum, so some people really need a lot of support, whereas other people might not even know what it is that has made them different over the years, or have a label for it, and they get late diagnosed like I did. So anyway, I feel like I've rambled a little more than I meant to about that, but I'll get back to my original point in a second. So for me, I feel there's this internal tug of war between the new and what I'm being pulled to, my soul is being called to, what I'm literally being activated into and growing into, and I'm aligning with, like this new version of me, or this new way of operating in the world, like this calling upon my soul and it's affecting me in such a way that, yeah, I'm growing and I'm expanding and my heart's opening and I'm healing, and I'm no longer wanting to stay small. I'm no longer willing to hide to the extent that I have most of my life. I've always, out of necessity and out of just, that was just the way it was. Like I've literally learned how to adapt and just take care of myself. Like I just learned to do my own thing, and kind of, you could say it's like dissociative or just hyper independence, you know? Yeah. So anyway, out of necessity, like that, there just wasn't a lot of nurturing, and on the emotional level and physiological, like cuddly encouragement, personhood building, and emotional connection and nurturing in that way. when I grew up. And so these are things I've had to do myself. And so that's what I want to really speak to for anyone else who relates and has been through similar things or has similar conditions or has, for anyone else who has complex trauma, for anyone else who has neurodivergence, highly sensitive persons or empaths, and those with telepathy and those who are very creative, like um, you're probably going to relate to a lot of what I'm feeling right now and what I'm speaking to. Um, it's because we're going through a vast transformation on this planet right now. It's like never before been seen. And yeah, it's unprecedented. It's affecting us physiologically. Like it can make us dizzy. It can give us headaches and aches and pains in the body. It can make us feel like we might pass out. It can affect our mood and give us mood swings. It can give us a feeling of nausea. Like it can give us irritability and overwhelm. And it's just, yeah, this ascension process, when these solar flares come through and that energy hits us, it can be a lot. We'll hear it ringing in our ears often. So yeah, these are some of the symptoms: dehydration, exhaustion, and also a feeling of being manic as well. That's like it can make your system feel overloaded a little bit. It's weird because sometimes I feel like myself as someone with ADHD, I often feel there are times once in a while where I feel tired, like maybe I didn't get enough sleep or I'm just tired because I've been, busy or working hard lately. And my body might feel tired, but I also might feel kind of wired at the same time. That's what it feels like sometimes when you have ADHD. I feel this is what happens when we don't have a um, strong, nurturing presence from our parents and guardians. Um, when we don't have uh, a lot of uh, teaching from the parental figures and encouragement and yeah, like validation and emotional and physiological support from an emotional standpoint, you know? So this creates that doubt within you, and then it takes you sometimes into your 30s to realize, oh my goodness, I always knew. I've even had dreams recently that were saying that literally, like, I woke up from a dream and it was telling me something pretty clearly, basically nudging me to sing. And when I woke up from the dream, I literally heard in my mind, you've always known. And I used to want to be a singer when I was a child. And I do consider myself to be better than average singer. I think I do have a pretty good voice, a good voice, but yeah, it's something I would love to use in whatever way I'm called to, whatever feels natural, whatever flows, whatever allows me to express myself truthfully, honestly, freely from the heart and just shine, because we need that light that we have within us to be seen. And when we let ourselves be seen, that's allows us to thrive more and feel more fulfilled and also support the collective, because when we feel joyful, when we allow ourselves to share ourselves with the world, and when we feel joyful and talk about and do the things we love, that lights us up from within, that gives us joy, that lets our energy radiate freely and more strongly and more radiantly. And this is what helps anchor the light. This is what helps inspire others, teach others, inform others, connect yourself. It helps you connect with other people. Um, you could have just the right words and the personal experience um, that would encourage and motivate someone needing to hear exactly what you have to say. And that's how life works. That's how God
and the universe, whatever you want to call it. I call it the universe occasionally, but mostly I'm calling it God, Mother, Father, God. Yeah, that's how it works. It's synchronistic. Our souls have purposes, and we have hearts, desires, and passions, and the more we follow them, the more we let God show us what it is we're here to do, the more we will be in flow and we will be aligned with what God's will is, and the more we are aligned with that, that's the best and highest good for all, and that will be the best outcome for all, and we won't be struggling as much because we will be, in alignment with what's God's will and what is going to make us most happy and fulfilled and like self-expressed. So yeah, I hope that what I'm saying today might strike a chord with some people, and if it does, I'd be happy for you to follow along on my journey here. I'm somebody who's always wanted to be a writer. I've always wanted to be an author. I've always wanted to be an artist and a singer. And I'm led to teach and heal as well. And I naturally have these gifts. I have a lot of life experience. I have a lot of wisdom. I have a lot of knowledge that I have accumulated over the years. I do have, I don't like to ever, I would never want, I'm hesitant to call myself an expert in anything, but I'm quite proficient in many areas. I'm very knowledgeable and I have a lot of wisdom. I have a strong intuitive compass. I would consider myself intuitive or psychic, an oracle, if you will. And I'm feeling called to use my voice. I've always been called to use my voice, and it's kind of ridiculous in a way because when I was a child, when I was 8 years old, I would just sing and it would just make me feel joyful and like I was expressing myself. It was like grounding for me and just it just felt so natural and fun, and I would swing on the swings, and that was like my stimming activity at recess when I wasn't building forts and stuff, making believe, pretending to be lions or tigers or whatever the thing was we were doing. I would be swinging on the swings and singing, or just swinging, one of those few things. But now I look back and I'm like, oh wow, like it's just remarkable when you get older and the more context you have and the more awareness you have of yourself, you can look back and say, oh my goodness, like I kind of actually knew who I was in some regards, or at least I don't know. Well, let me take that back or reverse it a little. Sometimes our little selves are more self-aware than we know. It's just we don't trust it, or we just don't feel like we should be. We don't feel sure, or we second guess and we doubt and we fear. I find that as an energy healer and a spiritual teacher or guide, I am able to support other people figuring out their spiritual path. I like to point out that a quote someone shared recently in a video I watched on YouTube. They said that Jesus said, let there be no teachers among us, and I think the guru age is ending, but that doesn't mean that some of us don't have wisdom or expertise or knowledge, and that they can't be a support, a guide, a coach, someone to assist them on their path, so long as you let God lead and you're doing it from the heart and you're doing it freely. Though it feels good to support others, it feels good to shine and show the world what you know and what you've got, and inspire others and express yourself authentically and freely, creatively, and just otherwise say what you feel you're called to say. But everything comes from God, our light, our essence. We are all God's children, humans. We are all the children of God, just as Yeshua Jesus was. We all have that ability to tap into the Christ consciousness and live a Christed life aligned with the heart and God's will. It's simply something we have to choose. And I feel like right now, a lot of people who are light workers and way showers on the planet, we're being called to step up and step into the light of who we are and let ourselves be seen and to do the dang thing. And that's going to require us, as I looked down, it was 144 when I said that. That 144,000, it's a frequency, it's a group of individuals who are awake on the planet at this time and who's got a big purpose to help support the unfoldment collectively. There's never going to be a perfect time, to start something you're called to do. Now, it is true, there are times where you may truly internally feel like, hey, I'm not ready, I really am not. You'll just feel internally like locked up. It'll feel more heavy and more icky or anxiety rendering, or, your gut will tighten and your body will feel heavy and you'll know you're not ready for something or something doesn't resonate with you. But if you're feeling called and something's a yes, it's true, there's such thing as divine timing, but don't let your mind and the fears of not knowing exactly how things are going to come together stop you from doing what you're here to do. I would rather put myself out there if it feels good to do it, to express myself authentically, openly, and to be what I'm here to be, even if I never draw an audience or many community, develop much of a community around me of people who follow what it is I do. Like, I'm not necessarily doing it for that, although that is something I would like to see happen on its own, in its own way. I would rather just do it because it feels right and it makes me feel good and it fulfills me, rather than worrying about external outcomes or what everyone else thinks. As a clairvoyant and someone who I feel like I have strong intuition, I do consider myself a psychic, an intuitive, an empath, a clairvoyant, so when I need to, I pray, and sometimes I'll close my eyes and just see if I get an answer with regards to whatever it is I'm praying about or inquiring about, and oftentimes I'll get an answer within minutes, sometimes seconds, usually within 3 days or less, I get answers when I pray. So just ask that God would show you what you need to know, give you an answer, a sign, and make it clear for you to understand. And you can even admit, I'm afraid, I don't know if I really want to know the answer to this, because I know it might not be comfortable to hear, or it might not be what I want to hear. But if you really want to know what God has to say and what God's opinion is and what God's will is, then pray it and you will be shown.
Okay, so that is a wrap for my first episode, Tug of War. Again, thank you so much for listening. I am still new to this, so please have some patience and maybe bear with me a little bit while I develop as much of a flow or a rhythm to this as I can. I also want to be as natural with this as I can. A new segment I think I'm going to be adding in and recording or piecing together the recordings I've already got is something called Go Within Wednesdays. So that is likely to be coming soon, so stay tuned to see that. And like I said, I've got a number of what I feel is really exciting topics to be touching on soon, like the background info of my life and my spiritual journey up till this point, and shamanism, neurodivergence. There's just so many things. So thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this content, please consider giving me a like and subscribing. I'm sure that would help the algorithms and help other people find me. And it would also help bring other people who like this kind of content to listen. And I'm hoping to develop and grow a community of some form of like-hearted and like-minded souls. So until next time, everyone, take care.